Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. I am your host, Sam Biccarino, and today's episode is all about Leicester City. We're doing one of our season previews. Obviously, we're doing one per team this season throughout the month of August. So if you haven't listened to any of the others yet, go check out our feed, either on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. After this one, obviously, listen to this one first because it's going to be great. It's going to be great because I've got three experts on today. Normally we have more of the sort of regulars alongside me and then one or two specific team experts. We've got three today. So firstly, I'll introduce two returners to the pod. It's Charli and Matt, or the duo from the Why Are We She podcast. You may also know them as. Charli and Matt, how are we doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thank you for calling us experts when Zoe's here. His actual job is to cover us with me. But we're thrilled to be here as always.
You're all experts. You all go to a lot more Leicester games than I do anyway. I think I've been to 2 in the last 2 seasons. So, you're much more experts than me. As Charli alluded to there, our other expert is Zoe. Zoe, how are you?
Good, thank you. I also don't like to call myself an expert, but I'll take it. Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. Obviously, this is your pod debut. So for anyone that perhaps doesn't know your work, do you want to give us just like a quick rundown of who you are, who you work for, that kind of stuff?
Yes, I work for the BBC, specifically BBC Leicester, local radio. So I cover Leicester City women for them. So we do every game, every presser, everything you could possibly need to know about Leicester City women. Hopefully we talk about it and we cover it.
Yeah, if for anyone that wants to keep sort of up to date with Leicester, it's a good follow on X. Is it just at Zoe McGrady?
Yeah, at Zoe McGrady. And then you can listen. So actually exclusively on BBC Leicester, we're launching a new women's sports show every Tuesday, 6 till 7. That'll be a dedicated place for everything Leicester City women. So if that's what you like, then head over there.
Good to know.
That is very good to know.
So,
yeah. You guys got the exclusive. I haven't actually said that anywhere. So,
well, maybe by the time this goes out, we'll see if you've spread it before that. It's currently Wednesday, the 20th of August, as we're recording. And yes, like I said, we're all talking about Leicester today, looking, partly ahead to the season, given all the changes that have happened over the summer. But firstly, we're just going to recap what happened last season. It was a season, I think it's fair to say, in the midst of an injury crisis, especially in the front line. A 10th place finish in the WSL ahead of 11th place Spurs on goal difference. 5th round of the FA Cup, a loss to Manchester City, and then second in the group for the Subway Cup to Brighton that topped the group and went through. Charli, Matt, I know you went to every home game, I think, or something along those lines last season. Certainly quite a lot of the games. How did you feel last season as Leicester fans?
Stressed, mainly, for most of it, I think. I think Matt was just saying, I think we missed probably 2 home games.
Yeah, selfishly went and got married at the start of last season. And then, since then, we've been fully dedicated to Leicester. That's where our allegiances have lain. But yeah, I think it was, the first half of the season, as you've alluded to, Sam, with the injuries was very, very tough. You could kind of see something there, but it just felt like every time you took maybe a step forward, the player coming back, you'd take 2 steps back. Obviously, got the last game before the winter break was that draw against Chelsea, which I think gave everyone just a massive boost. And then second half of the season, as we started getting players back, obviously we were still looking over our shoulders a bit with the relegation battle. But I think fundamentally we saw some big improvements. We saw a lot of the groundwork for what Amandine Mikel is trying to do with that team. And I think, we'll get into it, I'm sure. But, generally a lot of reasons to be positive and, a lot of excitement for the coming season, where hopefully we'll have a lot of the players who were missing last term back.
Yeah, because there were quite a few players, especially in the front line. But there was also a lot of contracts expiring this summer, which is a nightmare for any head of football, I assume. I'll just run you through the list Well, of all the ones that I could find anyway of the new contracts that have been announced. So Yanis Kamen, Janina Leitzig, Missy Goodwin, Julie Thibault, Sam Tierney, Hannah Kane, Shannon O'Brien, Simone Sherwood, Nelly Laz and Jutta Rantala. The last of those obviously missing the majority of last season with a knee injury, which I don't think was an ACL, but was just a long-term knee injury. Zoe, I'll come to you on this because that's quite a long list of new contracts. I think one of the longest lists across the WSL, but there's some really important names in there that would have been a big loss to lose. Is there anyone in there in particular that you think really stands out as someone that's great to keep?
Yanis Kamen, I think for sure. If I'm honest, I didn't think we would be seeing her in a Leicester City shirt again after last season. As much as I wanted her to stay, and I'm sure majority of fans wanted her to stay, I think to nail her down is huge. She's so fundamental to that side. I think she understands the club. I mean, what she can do on the pitch as well, but I think off the club is so important. So really good to see her name on that list. I think tying down people like Shannon O'Brien and Missy Goodwin, young talent that could probably easily go elsewhere, especially with the struggles that they've had this season and the struggles that they're probably still going to face this season, if we're being honest. But yeah, I think all of them, the academy products, Nelly Lass, Simone Sherwood, Amadee McCall is so big on bringing those younger players through. So I think for them, certainly an exciting time to be at the club.
Yeah, I think it's a good point around the youngsters as well, not just those coming through, but also people like you mentioned with Goodwin and O'Brien, because I think Goodwin really came into her own last season. That was not a breakthrough season for her because she had been playing a fair amount, but she certainly became a lot more important for Leicester last season, as did Shannon O'Brien, really, after she's had a lot of injuries in the last couple of seasons. She hasn't had as much pitch time, hasn't been able to get as much pitch time because she's unfortunately been in rehab and things like that. But as much as there are a lot of new contracts, there are unfortunately for Leicester a lot of players that have left the club as well. Those are Lena Peterman, Sari Takarada, Yuka Mimiki, CJ Bott, Courtney Nevin, Deanne Rose, and I think the one that's probably hurt at least Charli the most is Sophie Howard. How disappointed were you the day that you saw that she was going to be moving on to pastures new?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I say, it's never nice to lose any players, really, is it? But I think we were very aware of the contract situation, so we were fully expecting, to be honest, more players to go. Like we were, I think, pleasantly surprised. Like equally, as Zoe said, like Janice, signing a new contract. Jutta is massive as well. But I think particularly Mimiki and Howard hit hard the most. And as you know, I think any Leicester fan is a massive fan of Sophie Howard, what she's done for the club on and off the pitch. And yeah, I think we were watching Switzerland versus Finland actually in Switzerland, and Switzerland had just equalised. So the whole bar was buzzing. And I was just scrolling through my phone and went on Instagram, and she put the sort of back of the shirt photo, the caption, and I was just like, Matt, the worst possible thing has happened. Yeah, we were kind of sort of floored by it, really. We didn't see that one coming, and yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. It was a tough one to take, but you can't really, like I say, what she's done for the club, you can't really begrudge her. Maybe wanting to go for something different, new challenge out in Italy. So I wish her all the best, obviously. But I'm absolutely, we're both absolutely gutted.
It feels like I think Mimiki and Howard were the two I imagine. And again, Zoe may have more intel on this than we do, but I imagine those are the two that I think the club would have really wanted to retain, and obviously hasn't been able to. I think everyone else with the best of them in the world either had a lot of injury problems, like Lena Peterman missed all of last season, or were players who, were just kind of on the periphery and not a huge surprise to see them go. So yeah, it's tough to take, particularly Sophie Howard, who was such a figurehead for that team, I think. But I think it's not an insurmountable kind of challenge we've now got with replacing them.
Yeah, I think Mimiki Howard, and I'd probably say Courtney Nevin as well, were sort of my three that were like the biggest losses. Sophie Howard is obviously, well, listener, you may know she has been on Why Always She with Charli and Matt, but she has also been on Decoding the WSL as well. That's I think it was just at the end of last year. So if you scroll back through your feed, you'll be able to find that the interview that we did with her that was really good. She speaks really well as well, but yeah, a big loss. But for anyone that's ever been to Como, you can sort of understand why someone might want to go and play their football there. It's a lovely part of the world.
It's a good excuse for us to go and visit, I suppose.
Yeah, and they call it the Leicester anyway, so it's like, it's one of those things, isn't it? Makes sense.
That is what they call it. I have heard that many a time. Zoe, there's, like we said, quite a few players departing. Probably not as many players coming in as I think need to be, but transfer window's not done yet. There may be some more, but we've had Katie Keane come in from Shamrock Rovers, Celeste Buriel from Montpellier, and Heather Payne from Everton. I personally think Heather Payne could be a really sort of clever, astute signing. She's sort of getting pushed out a little bit at Everton anyway with all the signings they've made, but she's obviously someone with some WSL experience, with international experience as well, and is sort of a solid option, which I think when you lose quite a lot of defensive prowess, as Leicester have done, is a solid player to get in, a good transfer. Is there anyone that you think that's been a really good signing so far, or any areas that you think they could still look to improve in?
Yeah, I think Heather Payne was a good sign-in. WSL experience, and I said I spoke on our show sort of a few days before, and I said ultimately whoever they bring in, I think they need experience because they have a young squad. Last season it was a young squad. There's not a lot of experience in that. So I think whoever they brought in, I said it just needs to be someone that can walk in and instantly come into the squad and knows the league, because ultimately it's going to be a fight again. Like, it is probably more so than last season. So you can't be having players that are going to take a few months to adjust to the league. You need someone that can walk in and knows exactly what these teams are about and the teams that they're facing. Celeste Boré, we had a chat with her. I think she is potentially going to be a very good sign-in. I asked Amelie McCall about whether she viewed her as a leader, and I don't. And to be honest, from the chat that I had, I'm not sure if she is that huge leader. From what I know, she's not majorly vocal on the pitch. However, very, very highly rated as a player. So still a good signing. Katie Keane, young talent. Again, we're not entirely sure what role she's going to play necessarily. However, we know Amadine, and we know how invested she is in her younger players. So I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Katie Keane getting game time, which they brought in Olivia Clark in January to replace Lee's Kopp, and Olivia Clark hasn't really had any game time, because how would you get in over Janina Leitzig, for me, one of the best goalkeepers in the league? So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how them three fit into the squad.
Yeah, I think Janina Leitzig might be taking over the mantle from Courtney Brosnan. I've been saying all through last season that Courtney Brosnan was the best player in the bottom half, or at least the best keeper in the bottom half. But I think with some of the signings Everton have made, they may actually be pushing into that top half, and in which case Janina Leitzig will probably be the player that takes over that mantle. Let's move into next season. Some of the players that are on the books, at least for Leicester City. Let's go to Matt first. Matt, who do you think could be sort of one of Leicester's star players this coming season?
I think, Rantala has got a big point to prove. Obviously, she was fantastic before the injury. I think, generally speaking, a lot of people last summer were sort of saying our best business was keeping hold of her. There was some reports Arsenal had been looking at her quite closely and that kind of thing. So obviously the way last season went was a huge disappointment with her injury. But, she's back. She's had a full pre-season. She got to go to the Euros, which I think, personally, it would have been absolutely devastating to have missed that. So even being able to go and, not start games, but get on the pitch a few times was big. So I think she'll be an obvious big player for us. And then I think another one is, obviously we've already talked about Sophie Howard leaving and what a kind of hole that will leave in the defence. But another player we had at the Euros, Sari Keys, I think she came into the team last year, looked really, really good. Surprise, because she plays for Leicester, she got injured. But I think she looked really, really impressive. And yeah, carried that form into the Euros. We went and watched Spain versus Belgium while we were out there, and I think she ended up with the most blocks or something like that of any player at the Euros. And I just think, generally speaking, I'd be looking at her as the sort of player who could potentially step up and fill that role, if not exactly like kind of physically attribute for Sophie Howard, but then at least the kind of first name on that team sheet in the defensive sense. I think she could be the player.
Almost like from more of like a defensive importance rather than
rather
than all the headed clearances and the sort of things that.
Yeah, not necessarily even a leadership thing, because I think Yanis Cayman will be doing that, Sam Tierney will be doing that, but yeah, just I think that kind of, if you're looking for a super reliable defensive presence, I think she might be the one that we're looking to just have a kind of maybe a bit more of a rotating cast around her, but she'd be the one I think who could step up there.
Yeah, because there are centre-back options. Obviously, you've got Julie Thibault, you've got Swaby as well, still at centre-back. So it's not like she's the only option. But I would probably say she's probably the best centre-back that you've got left. Charlie, how about you? Maybe go further up the pitch. Who would be your sort of one of the star players this season?
Does a fullback count?
Oh, well, you're not going to go further up the pitch. Do you want to go back?
Does a fullback count? Yeah. She's got a minded fullback. I've picked out Asmita Ali. I think she had a real breakthrough season for me last season. I think when we bought her in permanently, obviously she was on loan with us the previous season from Spurs, and then when we bought her in permanently, I think as fans we didn't really expect her to play that much. We thought a bit of a depth option, rotation option, and I think she just really nailed down that fullback spot. And I thought she was one of the players that consistently impressed me last season. And I think if she can hit those heights again, maybe even improve further, I think she'll be really important. Again, we've spoken about defenders stepping up and, the importance of our defence. And I think that she's going to be a big part of that. So, yeah, that's who I'm sorry. Would you like me to pick somebody else?
No, that's fine. I think, like I say, defence was so important for you last season because the attacking options were so dry and so sort of few, you had to rely on the defence, and that was something that I think Leicester did really well considering the options that you had. I think one of the players that helped a lot with that was Ruby Mace, and I think she's going to end up being your star player this season. Obviously, ended last season with injury. I think the injury could be a bit of a silver lining for Leicester, because I think without that injury, she would have been potentially snapped up this summer. And the same with Jutta Rantala. I thought Jutta Rantala would have been absolute perfect signing for Manchester United. They really need wingers. She would sort of fit their system. But
I thought Liverpool. Yeah. I was absolutely convinced that Liverpool were going to come in for her and she was going to be going to Liverpool, or even Spurs, because obviously Spurs have got a couple of Finnish players. So I was fully ready to be exceptionally annoyed that she was going to one of those. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about United. But yeah, it's a good point.
But no, she's staying. Ruby Mace is staying. I think Ruby Mace is good enough to, if she can get back to the quality that she was, to get back into the England squad as well. I'd like to see that, because I think she's a really good player. And I think one of those that in a team like Leicester, she can be a really big fish in that pond and take that mantle on her back and say that this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to run the show and I'm going to come pick the ball up all the time. Zoe, I'm going to come to you for more of let's talk more like a breakthrough stars, not necessarily someone that's going to hit the headlines every week that has been doing last season, but who are the people that might not have had as much of a look in last season or are new to the club, coming through the youth ranks, etc., that you might see having a good 25-26?
I think if you look at some of the youth players that were coming through, I think it's so exciting for those young players. I said a few weeks ago, if you're a fullback in Leicester City's academy, you have to be so excited and have tunnel vision on that first team, because you will get game time. There's literally no doubt about it. So they've got such a wealth of academy players. They had a pre-season game against Everton last week, which, hilarious, by the way, Yuka Maminki by far Everton's best player. So that was quite funny to see. Sorry, guys, but she was. I was saying it to everyone there. I was like, funny how this one turns out. but the players they have coming through, Nelly Lass, I think that game against Manchester City in the Cup, I was just watching, I was thinking, no fear, like completely fearless against a Man City side that have got so many experienced players, and Amandine McCall rightly really praised her after that game. I'm really excited to see Nelly Lass back, and I think she'll get a lot of game time this season. Simone Sherwood again, Sammy Caxmar, all these players that are going to get minutes, certainly in cup games, and more than likely in league games as well. We saw at the end of last season, Amandine McCall was throwing them into the league, no fear. And do you know what? I thought they coped really, really well with it. Defensively, players that I think, well, certainly underrated. For me, Julie Thibault last season, probably not the first half of the season, but the last half of the season, that run of games where Leicester they won three home games back to back for the first time ever in the top flight. And for me, Julie Thibault was so central to that. And I genuinely do think she's really underrated. For me, she's the first name I want on the starting 11. Going forward, I think a huge season for Naomi Mouchon, huge season for her. I think so disappointing, such an exciting signing when the club announced her ahead of the last season, to then go and get injured. I was gutted for her, and having her out all season was obviously not ideal when the other injuries that came for Leicester. So I think she's got to prove herself now. She's got the chance to be in the starting 11 essentially every week if she wants to. So I think from the offset and in that pre-season game against Everton, I thought she looked sharp. She looked pretty much fully fit, which I didn't expect. So yeah, I think a big campaign for her, certainly.
Yeah, I think Mouchon is probably my number one in this kind of category. That I remember watching some of the pre-season games last season. I think there was one against West Ham in Australia that I watched most of, and she just looked so good. And the way I sort of likened her was a bit like Maya Ramirez-esque, that sort of really strong, really physical, but also really fast.
Yeah, running
and
the
sort of just a nightmare.
Yeah, we thought about
a nightmare
a lot last season. Yeah.
Yeah. as Mita Ali or someone lumps the ball out again, you just need that kind of player running onto it. Instead of as Mita Ali lumping it up and having to run onto it herself. Let's move on to more where we think Leicester are going to do as a whole this season. I'll go first because I think I might be the least positive, and at least we sort of go on a high after that. Because I did a bit of a draft and I've been sort of amending it every couple of weeks, as transfers come in and stuff. But Leicester are at the moment the 12th place team in the WSL for me. I think that's largely because of the difference in the squad. So although a lot of the players from last season have improved, because a lot of them are young, they're getting better over time, they're getting more pitch time, more match experience. There's a lot of quality is left over the summer, and not a lot has been brought in. Only 3 players so far. So I think that's the main reason for me why I've got them in 12th. But I do think they're going to have enough about them to win the WSL 2 playoff. We don't really know who that's going to be. It's looking like Birmingham are going to be good this season, Newcastle, Notts Forest, but they can't all get promoted in the automatic spots. So whoever they end up playing against, I think Leicester will probably have enough, and I don't think they're going to go down, but I do think they're probably going to finish last in the league. And in focusing on that, they'll probably won't focus too much on the cup competitions. If they do recruit a bit more, especially in defence and midfield, that might change my mind, but that's where I am at the moment. Zoe, I'll come to you first. How do you think Leicester City's season is going to go?
Oh, I don't like to be negative.
You can be more positive than me, it's fine. That's why I went first.
No, I think looking at it logically, I think you look at the difference in the team that has come up, London City Lionesses. I mean, there's no denying that they are different to the teams that have come up before. They clearly have investment. I mean, the signings that they've made are not the type of signings we've seen from the newly promoted side before. So I think if you're purely looking at that, then obviously Leicester are gonna struggle against that, because I think obviously in previous seasons teams probably have relied on the fact that the team that has come up is the team that's going to go down, whereas I don't think that's going to happen. And certainly if it does, London City are going to push it all the way. So yeah, I can see why you would think that. But again, also I think the gap still, but as the same with the men's game, the gap between the Championship and the WSL, I think, or the WSL2, whatever we'll call it now, I think is huge. So I still think if Leicester were to finish 12th, I still think they would 100% win that playoff.
Yeah, I agree. I will say as well, when I say that I've got them 12th, it's not like the same sort of thing like we've had the last couple of seasons where one team is 12th by a mile. It's 12th by a couple of points here and there. It might come down to the last game of the season.
It's fine. You're not going to kick off. It's okay.
But well, obviously we'll throw this over to Charli and Matt. So are you going for first or second?
Or at least Champions League.
Champions League, and we'd probably be happy.
I think, in all seriousness, I think I can see that, and like we're obviously seeing like a lot of that on discussion online and whatever, and I imagine that will be the team that will be picked as the last place team this season, and I think the point around London City Lionesses coming up and not being like the Championship WSL2 promotees that we've seen before is a good point, but also like just to be really like pernickety and maybe coping slightly. Last season we only took 1 point off Crystal Palace. Like it wasn't like we were that's where we got 6 points from, and that was sort of the platform that we built the rest of the season on. We only took 1 point off Crystal Palace. Like 90% of our points were from the teams above us. So I think that's what's making me slightly more positive / potentially slightly delusional about this season, is that we've shown that we can compete with the teams that are above us in the table, including, I don't know if we've mentioned it, Chelsea. So I don't know. I sort of go in between like having my realistic, pessimistic hat on of like, we're probably going to end up being in that playoff game. I'm probably going to be incredibly stressed. And then also being like, hang on a minute, we've got all of these attacking players back that we didn't have. We've had a full season under Amandine. We've had a full pre-season under Amandine again, and she's building the team that she wants. She's got the system down. We've retained some really, really good players, a really, really good core, and we've added sensibly. I agree. I would probably like a few more options in defence and midfield, or both. Somebody that can do both, like Cesperay. But I think I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna sit on the fence because I don't know. I just think generally that sort of bottom table / mid-table pack. I keep going in between like, I'm a bit worried about them, and then I am a bit worried about Leicester, or actually no, they're worse off than us in some ways. So I'm just flapping, sitting on the fence, just don't know what to make of it all, to be honest. Matt, have you got any clarity?
No, I'd say I'm in a similar spot. I think I can see how, looking from the outside, you can look at where we finished last season, and obviously, as we've already said, some real quality leaving the club, particularly in Howard and Mamiki, and then not a huge amount of signings. But I just think for me, the thing I keep coming back to is just how bad it wasn't just, you pick up a couple of injuries during the season. It was absolutely absurd how bad it was, particularly that first half of the season. To look at, Peterman missed the entire season, Rantala basically missed the entire season, Mouchon basically missed the entire season, Hannah Kane was still recovering from an ACL, Shannon O'Brien had ankle surgery. Even down to the level of Denny Draper, who was the kind of young striker we'd been blooding in the season before. She got injured and missed the entire season. I think it's, without, I fully appreciate not everyone listening will have been keeping as close an eye on as the Leicester physio room as we did, but I just feel like it feels like we're going into the season with pretty much a clean bill of health for everyone. And there's just so many players in there who it's going to feel like having new signings just by dint of, touch wood, having if we get 80% out of games for Rantala and Mouchon, then already you're light years ahead of where you were last season. And then, like Charli said as well, I think that kind of mid-table pack, I think from Spurs up to Brighton, it was 8 points separating all the teams. So, it could go the way which I think a lot of people are predicting, and it could be a tricky one, and we could find ourselves at the bottom of that pile. Equally, I feel like a couple of the things drop our way. We get a good run of not getting injuries. And, we were, as Charlie's already said, we were able to beat Brighton, we beat Liverpool, we beat West Ham, we beat Everton, we beat Villa. It's not like we were flat track bullies just beating up Palace just to stay up by the skin of our teeth. We have proved what we can do. And yeah, I think I'm probably more bullish. I think there's teams in the WSL where if I was a fan of them, I'd feel less optimistic going into the season. I'd feel like there's possibly a bit of listlessness. They're a bit rudderless, and yeah, I'd be more concerned about where the season's going to go.
Also,
I think
can I add a point onto that?
Going to be in that same sort of boat, especially when you haven't got that almost safety blanket like we've had with Bristol and Palace the last couple of seasons, that you're going to be better than them.
I think Amadi Mikel, last season, as you do, I put targets to her, I put points to her that would be the ultimate goal, and every time she was like, no, we don't look at points, we don't look at targets. As every WSL manager or every manager in every league is never going to give you a target, right? But I actually think having what feels like everything's stacked against them, and she will know, like she knows these managers, she knows London City Lionesses, she'll see the investment that they're having, she'll see the players, so she'll know what people will be thinking about Leicester this season. But I actually think that work in their favour. I think she thrives in those environments, and actually Leicester as a club has always been historically a club that like to be the underdogs, and this season they're going to be the underdogs. Even when you look at their performances last season against the top clubs, they performed better. Even the games where they didn't win, their overall performances were actually better than when they played Crystal Palace. So I think actually having the odds stacked against them, I actually think will work in their favour.
Might give a bit more oomph to the team.
Yeah.
Give them a bit more, I guess, like you say, that underdog mentality, and give them a bit more desire to prove people wrong, I guess, if nothing else. Okay, let's move on to one of the kind of regular slots we've got, which is around aerial fantasy. So if you were playing Fantasy WSL last season, you may have seen they've rebranded this year to Aerial Fantasy, and we have our own verified league again this season, which is very exciting. So do come and join that. Use the code Stats and Facts to join the league. Just download the Aerial Fantasy app from Play Store, the App Store, wherever it works on your operating system. But let's have a look at the Leicester players that we might pick this season. And I know that Leicester aren't necessarily going to be the most successful team, so we're not necessarily going to have loads of players. I think I'm certainly not going to have any. Well, I'm probably not going to have any from the start, because you've got Man United away and Chelsea away in your first 3 games, which doesn't matter who you are, that is 2 horrid games to try and score some points in. So the only person that I'm at the moment considering putting in, and it's sort of like budget dependent, is Jutta Rantala, because she's a forward in the game. I think she's something like 5.5 million, which I think for her quality is really high, but her quality is really high for that really low price, but I don't know if she's necessarily going to hit the heights. But if I haven't got much money left, she's definitely someone I'm going to take a punt on. Charlie, Matt, are you going to be playing this year, and who may you pick in your team?
Yeah, I think we'll play. Yeah, I don't like to pick a lot of Leicester players because it feels like I'm jinxing the jinxing the real team. But I think one I actually put in my first draft of my team the other day, like I say, maybe not from the start because we have got a couple of tricky games, but was Hannah Kane. I think she was in really good form at the end of last season, and obviously Wales, didn't have a great Euros, but I think she made a really good account of herself, scored that game against England, which we may or may not have celebrated when we were at the game. I picked actually. I think she's a bit more expensive. She's picked 6.5, but she's a midfielder. So if you I think having in fantasy, if you've got a midfielder who actually plays as a winger, so he's dead cert for goals and assists, and then also gets clean sheet points as well. I think that's always a good one to have. So Hannah Kane was someone I'd put in.
Yeah, and I'd just add to that as well. I think a lot of people will be kind of probably again looking at last season and thinking, well, Leicester don't score goals. Obviously, I'm not going to go over that again and just sort of say, oh yeah, well actually X, Y, and Z were injured and stuff like that. But I think I expect Mouchon will probably be the starting number 9, and yeah. All kind of, as long as the universe smiles on us, we'll get a lot more game time out of her this season. And I think she could be a decent, again, like not hugely expensive option who will get a lot of minutes.
Isn't she only like 4.5 million?
I think so, yeah. I think her price has been kind of quite heavily weighted by the fact that she barely played at all last season, and obviously it still hasn't scored in the WSL because she's only played 3 games. So I think she could be, if you're having a sort of a Bunny Shaw and a Miedemar as your two of your strikers, then having a third one who's slightly more budget friendly might be the way to go. And I think she could be a good shout for that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at the start of last season as well, she was a visionary. So she had less than 2% ownership, which obviously means that if she gets a return, so a goal, assist, etc., then you're going to get extra points for it. So yeah, I probably would go around, personally, I'd probably go around Tala over Mouchon. She's, I think, 0.5 mil more expensive, but is probably a bit more reliable because she's got the WSL experience already, and we know that if she's the same as she was pre-injury, she's going to be good. Okay, so there's a little bit about who you may want to put in your fantasy team this year. Do go and check out Aerial Fantasy app. Go find it on your app store and use the code Stats and Facts to join the Decoding the WSL League. I'll be in there. I think a few of the other guests that are on the pod, the regular guests and some of the non-regular guests are in there as well. So you can see if you can beat us. I think there was about 250 of us last year in the league. So yeah, it's pretty competitive in there. But let's move on to a different kind of game, and it is Know Your Stat. So Charli and Matt have done this before. Obviously, Zoe, this is your first time doing this, but Know Your Stat is the game on the podcast. It is essentially a game of categories. I'm going to give Charli, Matt and Zoe a category one at a time, and they are going to list off the players in that category they can think of. If they repeat a player, take too long, or give an incorrect answer, I'll let them know and they'll be out. And whoever can give the most correct answers takes the round. I've got 3 rounds for you. If you win a round each, I do have a 4th round. But if you don't, someone can just take the victory with 2. So, Zoe, as it's your first time, you're going to go first on the first round, and I'll give you the option.
No
Would
pressure.
you like the round about clearances, fouls, starting 11s, or goal difference?
Goal difference.
Goal difference it is. Okay, so round 1 is, I would like you to tell me any of the players that, while they were on the pitch in the WSL this season just gone, Leicester scored at least 10 goals. So this is any player that was on the pitch while Leicester scored at least 10 goals in the WSL. There are 12 players. It's going to be Zoe first, then Charli, then Matt.
Okay, I'm going to say Sam Tierney then.
Sam Tierney is the correct answer. 17.
Yuka Mimiki?
Yuka Mimiki is another correct answer with 16.
Janina Leitzig.
Nina Leitzig is number 1 with 20.
Yeah, goal threat.
Saori Takarada.
Takarada is unfortunately our first incorrect answer. She
No
was only on the
way.
pitch for 7 goals. I was surprised at that as well when I
feel
saw
like
it.
she literally played 90 minutes every week.
She played a lot, and there's another couple of players on here that played a lot and are incorrect answers.
She
So
also
I'm intrigued
played
to see.
in every position.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel like she played
Which,
about,
to be fair, a lot of Leicester players did.
Yeah.
She
I feel
wasn't
like she
the only
played
one.
about 10 games up front.
Yeah, she
I do
literally
remember
did.
seeing Cayman and Ali up front as a pairing at one point.
Oh God, that was I think that was Spurs away. That was dark times.
Ruby
Anyway.
Mace as a number 9 against Villa.
Yeah, that was fun.
Charli next.
Oh my God, Sophie Howard.
Sophie Howard is correct. 19.
Julie Tebow.
Julie Thibault was joint first with Union Leipzig on 20. Back to Charli.
Back to me, is it?
Yeah.
Oh God, sorry, panicked. Asmita Ali.
She is correct as well with 19.
Janice Kyman.
Also on 19. You've got the top 7 players now. 5 correct answers left.
Is it my turn? Or am I out?
No, you're out, unfortunately.
Oh.
Oh God, I feel like everything.
Give you guys a clue.
Sorry, I didn't want to rub it in, but you said it.
I am actually out.
I feel like any player I say now is
Charli.
Shannon O'Brien.
Shannon O'Brien was on the pitch for 10 Leicester goals last season. She is a correct answer, just.
Attention.
I'm going to go heavily influenced by that last game of the season where we scored 5 against West Ham and say Hannah Kane.
We only scored 4. But...
We scored 4, sorry. Hannah Kane.
Well, it saves you nonetheless because she's on 12.
Oh God. I mean, we only scored 21 goals for the whole season, so it's quite tricky, really. Oh no, Charli Keys. No.
Sarri Keys was on the pitch for 2 Leicester goals last season.
Wow.
Is an incorrect answer.
Yeah, that was the
She didn't
dark.
play that much.
She played a fair bit during the dark times.
The dark ages.
So, Matt, if you can give me a correct answer now, you win the round.
Has anyone said Missy Goodwin yet?
Is she your answer?
She is.
We can't answer the question.
Missy Goodwin has not been said, and she is a correct answer with 14. So Matt takes round 1. Very well done. There were only 2 players you didn't say in there. Sian Shosnotty and CJ Bott were the only other 2.
CJ.
I thought someone might say Ruby Mace at some point. She was one that I thought.
I had Ruby Mace in my head.
Yeah.
I forgot about
So
Shosnotty.
that was definitely one that could catch people out. But Matt takes round 1. So round 2, Matt, you can pick this one and you're going to go first. It's going to be Matt, then Zoe, then Charli. Would you like the round about clearances, fouls, or starting 11s?
Let's go starting 11s.
Starting 11s. So obviously Manchester United versus Leicester is coming up soon. But I would like you to tell me the starting 11 from when Manchester United hosted Leicester in the WSL last season. So any player, sorry, not just the starting 11 for Leicester, but the starting 11 for Manchester United or Leicester. So 22 players to pick from. Matt, then Zoe, then Charli will be the order.
Okay. Janina Leipzig again.
She was indeed in goal.
Just to clarify, is this the away fixture or the home fixture?
The away fixture.
Okay. Sophie Howard?
Sophie Howard was correct in that back line.
I'm going the other side. Fallon Tullis-Joyce.
Yeah, very sensible. Someone that played every match for Manchester United in the WSL last season. Back to Matt.
Maya Letitia.
Also a correct answer.
Julie Thibault?
Julie Thibault was alongside Sophie Howard.
Leah Galton.
Leah Galton was a correct answer. Correct. Well done.
Asmita Ali.
Asmita Ali is a correct answer. Well done.
So that means it was CJ Bott?
CJ Bott was on the other side.
Ella Toone. I can't remember.
Ella Toone did start in the 10. Correct answer.
Did she score that
Did a bit
day?
of tinkering, didn't I?
Can't remember who scored.
I don't think so.
Yanis Kaiman. She didn't score, but she's my answer.
She didn't score that day, but she did start as a correct answer.
Ruby Mace would have been in there, yeah.
Ruby Mace was indeed in that.
Millie Turner.
Millie Turner was alongside Maya Le Tissier.
As always.
Gabby George.
Gabby George was in that back line as well for Man United.
I'm just working my way through the 4-2-3-1. So, Sam Tierney.
Sam Tierney is another correct answer. Yeah, in my list, because I've got them all as they were like in the formation. You're literally just in a row getting them.
Yeah, I'm literally just going through the back line, defensive midfield, get the wing.
It's going to be a pretty big flex. It's going to be a big flex if you can win this round only naming Leicester players.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about the Man United players.
We're naming more Man United. To be fair, I'm naming more Man United players.
Yeah, you've not said a Leicester player yet, Charlie.
I feel like I should.
Absolutely disgraceful.
I'm panicking. I can't. No, I'm sorry, I won't stall. I'm going to do it again. Dominic Janssen.
Dominic Janssen is the correct answer. Yep. Started in midfield.
I'm not 100% on this one. I feel like they might be tinkered, but Elizabeth Turland.
You are correct that they tinkered. Elizabeth Turner is an incorrect answer.
That's got to be in it.
Missy Goodwin.
Missy Goodwin's correct.
I'm going to fall at a last hurdle here. I'm going to get someone wrong.
Melvin Mallard.
To be honest, Melvin Mallard did start up front.
She scored. I swear she scored.
She did score, yeah.
You've got 17 out of the 21 so far. It is pretty good going. It's going to be a painful loss for whoever does fall out of this.
It's going to be me because Zoe's going to remove all of the Leicester players.
Zoe next because Matt's out.
To be fair, it is my job. So if I get it wrong, then we said Yanis. Shana Shosnot.
That is another correct answer.
Oh, great shout.
Oh, Christ. Who the hell did we have in the 9?
He definitely didn't play.
I don't think
I know who it is now. I know who we had up front that day. I can remember.
Is it Hannah Kane?
It is not Hannah Kane. So that means that Zoe takes the round.
This is what I mean. This is why I was avoiding Leicester players because I was like, who the hell did we have?
Zoe has won the round without naming a single Manchester United player. It's very well done. Do you know who was in the 9?
Yeah, Helen Eriksdottir.
Absolutely correct.
There we go.
Very well done. The players, the only other three players you could have had, all Manchester United players, were Aoife Mannion, Grace Clinton, and Celine Bizet. So that is very well done. I've done a few of these when I've done starting 11s. You don't normally get people going that far through it. Normally, you don't get 18 correct answers. People get out earlier on. So very well done. So that's one round to Matt.
Sorry, my main memory of that game was Mamiki having a huge impact, but I remember she came on at half time, so I was really fighting the urge to be like, well, maybe she didn't. But that was my main memory was her.
Well, at least you had that, so you know that one player to sort of
avoid.
Not say, to keep on the side. Okay, so it's one round to Matt, one round to Zoe. Charlie, if you win this round, we'll go to the fourth and final one. But for this one, would you like to have the round on clearances or fouls?
Fouls. Sorry, my country accent really came through then. Fouls.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's going to be Charlie first. I would like you to name the players for me at Leicester City that committed more fouls than they were fouled last season. Does that make sense? They committed more fouls than they had fouls against them. There are 14 players on this list.
You'll never sing that. Ruby Mace.
Ruby Mays is number 1 with 26. I think she was actually the number 1 player in the league for this.
That's my goal.
Greatest of all time. Greatest to ever do it.
Yeah.
Season, but still fouling away.
Also, I was going to do this the other way round, but there were only 9 players on the list the other way round. I thought 14 made a bit of a better game. Go on, Matt.
Sam Tierney.
Sam Tierney is an incorrect answer. She She had 12 more fouls against her than for her.
Fair play. I'm sorry, Sam, if you're listening.
Yeah, I feel like she draws a lot of fouls.
I think she's very streetwise and wily in that regard. Mm-hmm. I will bow out.
Go on, Zoe.
That's who I was about to say, Sam Tierney. That's really surprised me. Fair play, Sam. Shannon O'Brien?
Shannon O'Brien committed one more foul than she was fouled, so that is a correct answer. I will say as well, there are 6 players on this list that had one more foul committed than drawn. Just to make it difficult.
This is risky. Janice Cayman.
Janice Cayman is an incorrect answer. She drew 4 more fouls than she committed. So that means it's over to Zoe. Zoe, if you get this one right, you win the round and you win the match.
Oh God. There's 2 players in my mind. Julie Thibault.
Julie Thibault. Before I give you the answer of whether that's correct or not, who was the other one?
Hannah Kane.
Hannah Kane would have been incorrect, but Julie Thibault is correct.
Yeah.
Hannah Kane had 7 more fouls drawn than committed, but Julie Thibault committed 9 more fouls than she drew. So it is a correct answer, and that means Zoe, on your debut of Know Your Stat, you've got a win on the board straight away.
Well done.
Great performance. Great performance. I will say as well, like me and Matt were like writing down answers to remember who'd been said, and I don't think you were writing anything down, Zoe, which is even more impressive.
Very, very impressive.
But again, I will say,
I
really do get paid to know this information.
That's true. Yeah, that
is true. So you're one of the very few, I think 3 people off the top of my head, that have a 100% record on this game. So very well done.
Oh, thank you.
But that is, another game obviously over for Charli and Matt as well. That's your 3rd match each. 1-1 each. I don't know if I've told you this before, but Charli is actually ahead of Matt in the leaderboard still, having 1 more games. So 1 more round anyway. So you can hold that over Matt's head, and Matt will probably never want to come back on. So
the last time I came on, it was purely to avoid whitewashing continuing. So yeah, I'm fine as long as I'm not being whitewashed. I'm happy to keep coming on and getting battered.
Well, you'll be happy to know as well, because I think you were the first person to get whitewashed as a 3-0, but you are not the only person to be whitewashed. I think it's happened like 4 times now. So yeah, you've not got that record hanging over your head anymore. Don't worry. But yeah, that is us rounded up for the evening. Thank you very much, listener, for sticking with us. Thank you for tuning in for Decoding the WSL. If you haven't already, do make sure to follow, subscribe, all that jazz, wherever you get your podcast. You may be listening to us on Spotify, which I know a lot of you do, but we are on YouTube now, where you can come and see us. You can come and see Charli and Matt's cat throughout the podcast as well, making a little appearance. Which, everyone loves a good pet, so that's all good. And also go and follow the Decoding the WSL Instagram on there, because there'll be a few bits popping up over the course of the season. Zoe, do you want to just give everyone a little reminder of where they can find you on social media and some of the work that you do?
Yeah, of course. The best place to get the latest updates is probably on my own Twitter, which is at Zoe McGrady, or BBC RL Sport, all the headlines. Like I say, 2nd of September, we're launching a new women's sports show, complete dedicated place to be for all things Leicester City women, all the headlines to come out of the press conferences, all post-match reaction. We're going to be joined by some former City players that we've spoke about a lot in this hour. So I'd definitely get over there. That'll be 6 till 7 every week on BBC Radio Leicester. And then all post-match reaction on the When You're Smiling podcast, which is on BBC Sounds.
All very good. And I know that a few of the people listening to this pod as well, because I know they, I've seen sort of messages on social media and stuff, are really interested in that sort of stuff, especially from a fantasy point of view. So if you want a little bit extra information that you might not necessarily get from other sources, sounds like that is the place to go. Charli and Matt as well. Obviously, this isn't the only podcast. You don't just come on here every once in a blue moon. You have your own gig as well, don't you?
We do, yes. Our podcast is called Why Always She. It is not as official as like Zoe's activities in any capacity. We just sort of chat about whatever we want. Sometimes we talk about Leicester. We talk about everything from the WSL, national stuff, like national team stuff, Champions League, anything we feel like, really. So if you just want
about Claire Wheeler.
Mainly about Claire Wheeler, who's Matt's favourite player. If you just want like a vibey, chill, like just casual natter every week about women's football, normally the WSL during this time of year, you can check us out. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, and we're on Instagram and Blue Sky. If you just search for Why Was She on either of those, we sometimes remember to put things on. You won't get any like exclusives or any insight from us, just hot takes and sometimes cold.
It is a good listen. I can recommend it. I was going to say I've listened to every episode, but I did get a notification that you'd released one about 2 hours ago, which I haven't had time to listen to yet.
Sorry, we
set
you up for a loss there, didn't we?
It'll be on while I'm doing my work tomorrow, don't worry. But yeah, that's all we've got for you today, listener. Thank you, Zoe, for coming on for your pod debut. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Charli and Matt, for coming back on. And listener, we will speak to you soon.